Hello and welcome to Success Strategies by Sandra Corbin. Today I have with me Jay Shira, who was born in Richmond, Virginia, and he was awarded the Chamber of Commerce Junior Citizen Award when he was 15. He was also an amateur, then a professional magician, and he entertained people during his high school, college and Navy years. He graduated with honors in 1962 in history and philosophy, and he's held a leadership position at campus along the way, and he served as a captain of the swim team. He graduated at the US Naval Candidate School and served as a combat officer aboard USS Eaton. After gaining his honors and internship in Norfolk, Virginia, he conducted the nation's first street ministries, doing crisis intervention and working with people of the night. In 1973, John joined the Leadership Institute, becoming a creator and core facilitator of the world's purely first competency-based graduate program in applied behavioral sciences at Whitfield College. He then founded his own leadership organization within that firm. Stephen Covey's organization named John as one of America's top 100 thought leaders for 2008 in personal excellence. It's an honor that's shared by Lance Armstrong, Wayne Dyer, Oprah Winfrey, and Stephen Covey himself. So my question to John, firstly, and welcome to the program.
Great to be here, Sandra.
Yes, thank you. Why would a former military gentleman who studied history and philosophy go into transforming lives and the world at work?
That's a great question. Oh boy, I think when I look back over my life, the constant has been not so much who was paying my salary. It wasn't so much what was the name on the paycheck, United States Navy, graduate program, Scherer Leadership Center, whatever. But it was the constant was my own heart, my own soul, and my attempt all through my life to bring the fullest and most complete expression of my soul to whatever it was that I was doing. So even on the ship, I remember one day there's 300 of us, and we're going all over the Atlantic Ocean in our destroyer. I remember the executive officer coming up to me one day and saying, "Mr. Scherer, what are we running here? A ship of war or a psychiatric clinic?" And I remember saying, "Well, XO, it depends on how you look at it." Ever since I can remember, people have talked to me about their lives. I'll get on an elevator and say to a perfect stranger, "Hey, how's it going?" And next thing you know, they're telling me everything that's going on in their life. So I guess the right answer to your question, Sandra, is I've always been about what I've been about, no matter who the organization was that I was working with.
That's really interesting, John. But you've got that kind of religious aspect going on, and people do always say this. They wonder, should religion and business mix? And if so, John, why do you think so?
Well, I'm not sure that religion and business should mix, but for sure, people who are in business bring all of who they are to that work. And for people that have a deep spiritual path, that is and should be a key part of what they bring to the workplace. So in 1993, when I wrote my book, Work and the Human Spirit, I wasn't, and many people said those two words don't even go together in a sentence, work and the human spirit. No, you have to keep those completely separate. But the point I was making in that book is not that you should invite people to prayer breakfasts, although it's certainly an okay thing to do, but that more along the lines of, what is it that all the religions of the world are trying to get people to be? And I think they're trying to get us to live fully into our potential, what we were created to be in the first place. And then that's why the workplace is so important, because everything that comes at us during the day it's almost like when we wake up and go to work, we're going to school. Or if you practice a martial art, you're going to the dojo. And when you go to school, your faculty is waiting for you there. And your faculty are all the people you work with. And the curriculum is all the issues and challenges that had come at you during the day. Yesterday, here in Poland, we were doing a workshop for a group of senior executives, and we had one of our Aikido members of our team that is a fourth degree black belt in Aikido, and he was doing a little workshop with these 30 or 40 managers, and he said, I need to see my opponent as a partner who is in their, when they're attacking me, they're helping me develop my strength and my capacity. So in these problems that come up, if you can see them as things that call on your deeper spiritual development to respond to, then everything that happens at work can deepen you in your spiritual path.
All right, but you mentioned the word like your spiritual path, and then you also mentioned a word that would be equated with being successful, your purpose. But some people see their purpose, the end route, as to, obviously the means would be to get finance, to get money. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't people say that money is the root of all evil? Or is it the love of money?
Yeah, I mean, money is just money, just like things are just things. But whatever we get addicted to can become a problem. Not just things like alcohol or substances, drugs, or money, but we're all addicted to something. And in our leadership intensive, we help people discover what it is that they're addicted to. And for instance, I was addicted to looking good, being charming, wanting to impress people, which means that every time I walked in a room, when I was just completely unconscious and on automatic, without even thinking about it, I was trying to be wonderful and trying to be impressive. Now, it's not a bad thing, it's a human thing, but it's not all of who we are. It's not all of who I am. And as soon as I discovered in my own spiritual development work that that's what I had turned my life into, running around trying to impress people, I thought, wait a second. This friend of mine said, is that a purpose worthy of who you are? And I said, yeah, right. I've been put on the earth here to walk around, look good, and impress people. I don't think so. So that's how I got to this, what we call the greater purpose in your life. So many people will substitute financial targets for their own inner work. It's easier in a way, even though it may be difficult, it's easier to go after external targets like I want to make another million or I want to make another 100 and be addicted to that as a substitute for doing the very difficult and important internal work. Most of the successful and I had the good fortune to work with many senior executives and entrepreneurs who are very, very successful. And many of them get to the top of where they're trying to go, and they look around and say, is this it? Is this all there is? So I like to say that a midlife crisis is getting to the top rung of your ladder and realize you leaned it against the wrong wall. So a lot of these people have leaned their ladders against the wrong wall. It was an interesting wall, and they got to the top of it. And the money and all was feedback. And the feedback says, yes, you're providing some kind of service to the world that the world is willing to pay you for. That's all it means. So for many of these entrepreneurs and executives, it's not about the money, really. They've got more money than they need. They've got, millions of dollars. So another million, who cares? But it's the excitement of being in the game, of like beating your competition or solving a problem that nobody. So for at least most of my clients, money is not the goal, but it's interesting feedback for success.
Okay, so when did you realize then, because you've said some of the techniques that you've used or some of the issues that you've seen with people, when did you in particular realize that your teachings were really being effective?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that I've even now realized it. Yeah, exactly. Two of my closest friends and colleagues have told me over the years, John, you're the only person on the planet that doesn't understand the impact that you have. So I'm really not sure, Sandra. I mean, I'm not aware of doing what I do in order to be powerful or effective or successful or anything. My focus is on what's needed in this moment, and how can I bring all that I have been given, all the gifts, whatever I've been given, how can I bring that to the situation? And I think quite often I will leave a situation. I know my friend said, John, how many lives are you going to have to touch before you can relax? And I said, I don't know, man. But I'm not done yet. I'm not ready to relax yet. So I think, maybe it's a surprise, but the answer to your question is, I don't know.
Okay, that's an honest one. Okay. So the channel is about creating businesses and as well as striving for success. Business ethics today, what do you think of the world of work and business today?
I remember some years ago we had a woman executive from Enron, from the Enron company. Remember that company, that American company that made money off of basically nothing, it turned out. And she had become a senior manager in the company. In fact, she reported to one of the men who went to jail. And as she told us a story that she went to her boss and said, you sure we're supposed to be doing this? This doesn't seem right to me. And so they transferred her to another department. And then after a few months of seeing what was going on there, she went to her boss and said, I don't know that this is exactly right. So they transferred her to another boss. And in her 2 years there, they transferred her 4 or 5 times. And finally she realized this is not right. This was, in her world, it violated a very core set of ethics. So she approached the FBI, she approached the Securities and Exchange Commission, all the institutions that supposedly regulate these things, and they told her don't complain about Enron. So Enron apparently had some protection, as we found out later, at the very top of the U.S. government. So when she was in the program, in our leadership program, she said, if you want to know what went wrong at Enron, she said, just look inside your own heart. She said it was greed. She said we all have it. Everybody would like to have more. Like if you ask somebody how much money do you need, the answer is more than I have now, right? It doesn't matter if you have $100 in the bank or $100 million in the bank or $100 billion in the bank. Everybody wants a little more. So she said the problem at Enron and in many businesses is when that natural human greed goes unchecked, when there is nobody there to call it into question, and in fact when the business practices begin to build on the greed, and the greed begins to become a part of the business philosophy, even the mission of the company, then you're in real trouble. So for me, ethics in the workplace has to do with the core values that what is the executive, what are the board of the supervisory board and the management team, what are they navigating off of? And if they're navigating off of share value or net profit or EBITDA, which is a financial measure of success, if that's all they're using to navigate off of, then they're absolutely going to start doing things that aren't right.
So are you saying that over the years that you've been doing your leadership seminars and you started your organization, that business ethics have changed for the better or for the worse?
I don't think they've changed at all. I think the truth is they've always been this bad. It's just now two things have changed. We have more information about it. We have instantaneous information about it with tweet and all the social media plus the news media, and there are more numbers. There are more zeros after the numbers. And so it used to be in the thousands, and now nobody even bats an eye unless it's around 1 billion. So I think the problem is we've always been this way. And I mean, that's the whole point of most religions, is that since human beings showed up, we got some major problems.
Okay, John.